What is up, sports fans? Welcome to episode number 6 of the Sports Opinions podcast. I am your host, Alex Cuesta. With me today is my special guest, Colton Gesser. What's up, Colt?
What's up, Alex? Thanks for having me.
Yes. Colton is another kid that I've known for a real long time. He actually has done some sports radio work over at Ocean County College Radio, WOCC. Which he's actually done with now, but if you have had the chance to listen to him, you know he's a kid that knows what he's talking about. Colt, how did you like your experience doing some sports radio over there?
It was actually really good. I appreciate you guys listening to me. It's definitely a good time. I got a little work. I actually think I'll be going back a little bit, a few days to do shows still at OCC. But overall, it was actually really good. Got to see how it is. And now that I have my internship at the RAT, I'm seeing how like a whole radio station works. So it's a good experience.
So yeah, he had a great experience doing that. And if you want to listen to him, you download it's the Radio FX app on your phone. You go and search for WOCC, click on that, and when Colton's on, you'll be able to listen to him and a few other of his buddies there that talk about sports. And it's a pretty cool show, pretty laid back. They know what they're talking about, so it's fun to listen to. I've listened to it myself. Now, before we jump into the actual podcast, I want to go and give a shout out to a few fellow podcasts. First, Brittany Schmidt's podcast. I've been calling her Brittany Hackett a whole bunch, which is her maiden name, married name, Brittany Schmidt. She has her own podcast, Are You There Friday? It's me, Brittany. It's exclusively on you can use the Anchor app to get to it. Anchor app's a cool app. You download Anchor, you listen to podcasts while they're live. You can listen to them and call in, or you can listen to recorded ones. It kind of gives it a radio simulation. It's a really cool app. I recommend you get that app, and I recommend you go listen to Brittany, and she has a co-host there, Nathan Perrone. They talk about almost anything on that podcast, so if you're just kind of a fan of Hodgepodge, definitely go listen to that. The other podcast I want to give a shout out to is two of my former athletes that I used to coach over at Marist College track and field. Nate Lungarini, Jake Hensler, and their friend Andrew Auger created a podcast named The Middle Seats. Here they review movies that have come out, and they give you their opinions about these movies, and they give you ratings, so that if you're a moviegoer, if you're into movies, you like all that stuff, 100% recommend going to listen to the Middle Seats podcast. You could find Middle Seats over on YouTube and I believe SoundCloud and iTunes podcasts. And you can also find Brittany on iTunes podcasts. I know that. So moving on from the shout outs, we're all done with that. I'm going to get to this podcast with my buddy Colt over here. We're going to talk about something near and dear to his heart, instant replay. Now,
Aye.
Now, we've mentioned Colton a few times on the podcast over the past few weeks. I think everyone knows now, Colt, that you're a big-time Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and instant replay has recently hit you specifically really, really hard. First off, give me your opinion. If you want to give everyone a synopsis of what happened on that play. It was a few weeks ago. And give us a quick synopsis, and what's your opinion on what the heck went on?
Well, overall, the opinion of the call, I don't think they had a clear angle to overturn it. I thought it was a good call. By rule, they got it right, I think. The ball, I think, did touch the ground. By rule, they got it right, but they have to adjust the rule. If the ball is moving as he's reaching across the plane and it's not moving, it's a touchdown. But his knee was also down as he's reaching, so if he gets touched by McCourty on that play before he reaches, he's down, and it's second and goal Pittsburgh from the 1.
Completely, and just really quickly to preface it for everyone, this play, it's throw from Ben Roethlisberger to tight end Jesse James on the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New England Patriots. He is falling as he's making the catch. A knee hits the ground untouched. He catches the ball, well, I say catches, extends it, which...
No. So did Vice President officiating, who helped make that call. The man said it was a catch. He said Ben Roethlisberger completed a pass to Jesse James. It was just, I don't know.
So, yeah, he completes it. James makes a football move in my eyes by extending it after the catch. The ball then goes across the plains, hits the ground, moves while on the ground, and somehow the officials decide to call that an incomplete pass, overturn it, and then we know the rest. Ben makes a terrible throw on a slant into the end zone that shouldn't have been, and it ends up being picked off by the Pats. Game over. Now I agree with. I'm actually tired. I am super tired with everyone going, well, according to the rule, they got it right. Well, it's a crap rule. It's a stupid rule. It's a terrible rule. It's not football. That rule isn't football to me. So
I agree. I'm not a huge fan of the Jets, even though I am this week. Go Jets.
Hey.
But the Jets got hosed. Dallas got hosed, and I don't like Dallas. I'm not a fan of Dallas. Des Bryant got hosed. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
And oh my goodness, you got this week again, Kelvin Benjamin. What is a catch? What is a catch?
Kelvin Benjamin, anymore. Yeah, and we're going to go on to that. Yeah. Austin Seferian-Jenkins twice this year got called back on what are basically they should have been touchdowns called back. Kelvin Benjamin, I forget the other wide receiver, the play before got a call overturned by the Bills. Now, the one main constant is in a lot of these calls this year has been the New England Patriots.
That's what's frustrating about it. Fine, the Pittsburgh one, fine. I was okay with it. I mean, by rule, I think they got it right, but I flipped out. I honestly flipped out when the Bills got overturned for a touchdown. That's a huge swing momentum for Buffalo. Buffalo on the road. They would have been up 4 going into halftime. They received the ball in the second half. The momentum's all their way. They go down to get a field goal. They're up 7. They're up 7.
Now,
it's a whole different game.
It is a completely different game. And really, to preface, the first call that the Patriots got their way against Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the Jets probably win that game because of that call.
Exactly. It changes the game. That takes off points. It's not even like the Jets could get a field goal or anything. They have 0 points, and New England gets the ball.
Absolutely. The call against Pittsburgh, probably a loss for New England, even though Tom Brady, I can't count out Tom Brady. He might have come back and won these games. But in terms of argument's sake, they're taking off W's. The Bills one is a little more arguable because it was still a half to play.
Yeah,
who knows if Buffalo would have folded or not, but it is, just the nature of the call. Now, I just want to, conspiracy theories aren't great, but is there something to that, obviously Goodell doesn't like the Patriots, but do you think the officials give a little more leeway to teams like the Patriots who have the pedigree and are favorites in their eyes? What do you think, Colt? Do you think they're getting a little bit of something from these officials?
I mean, again, like you said, it's not a good thing to think that because you want it to be fair, but there's got to be something up, man. Like, I don't understand because then you had a play earlier in the season for New England. Brandon Cooks catching the pass for a touchdown. The ball hits the ground, and they ruled a touchdown. The ball's on the ground, and they called a touchdown. Like, I don't understand how these calls – that's what's frustrating. Like, they're all going in favor of New England. It's not like it's spread around the league. It's all in favor of the Patriots. In big games, too. It's not like – I don't know. There's just something about it. I mean, you said it best. It's not a good thing to think that, but, like, there's something fishy with that. Like, it doesn't make sense.
For the most part, it's New England. I think there's been a few others. There's a few other calls that haven't been for New England, but, it definitely seems to be favoring New England mostly. And to me, it's crazy. I think instant replay right now is just actually out of control in sports. Do you think that it's kind of, you look at instant replay in football, they replay almost everything, every turnover, every touchdown, replay. We go to baseball, big out, close at the plate, whatever. Guys just stand around. Hold up. The manager might want to replay that. So now you're sitting there.
They have to put a time on that. I don't like that with the MLB. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I don't like that with the MLB. Like, you got coaches sitting there for like an hour, like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. Like, you're getting 80 reviews, so like you're technically doing your own review for yourself. Like,
yeah, they're on the phone listening to someone going, yeah, you should definitely replay this. And the one sport that I think actually has it right now is basketball, the NBA. There's a guy
under 2 minutes, and they don't stop play. They'll be like, hey, like if you think his foot's on the line, they'll like say it after, as soon as the play happens, the review. So as soon as you get the stop, you look at it. It's not stop and play.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to get to is they don't stop play on those. And, the only time is if it's an out-of-bounds play, okay, the ball was already dead or is going out of bounds. They go, but the officials, they go up there They look at it a few angles. They're on the headset. They make the call. There is no big to do. There is no we have to get it right completely here. There's the call. That's how much time is left. Let's go play basketball. Or once we go to the TV timeouts, let's go and go to the thing. Okay, no, it wasn't a 3. They have 2 points on the board instead. It's the only sport I see taking points off the board if necessary, which I think is something that they have it right completely.
Touchdowns for the NFL reviewed them fine. Turnovers and stuff like that, like I feel like that's the chance you take. You're gonna review it, like that's a chance you're gonna have to take.
See, I'm even against reviewing.
You're given 2 for a reason. You don't see these coaches. You usually see 1 a game, at least like 1 maybe, and that's counting both sides. So like they don't use them.
They don't, and
doing it for them.
Yeah, they don't have to use them. And I'm even against reviewing every single touchdown. That's what you were exactly hit the nail on the head. Coaches get 2 a game apiece. That's potentially 4 reviews in a game if they choose to use it. Why is the NFL reviewing everything and taking the onus for them? I think that's part strategy for the coaches. It used to mean something when a coach had a good record on challenges. Now it's just kind of like, what is there to challenge? You know what?
What are you challenging? You're challenging catches on the sideline. That's it. That's about it.
Exactly.
And spots of the ball.
And spots of the ball.
The chance you take.
Exactly. And so for me, it's like, okay, you know what? If Belichick wanted to challenge Kelvin Benjamin and he eventually won, whatever. But he would have then had to waste the challenge, and he doesn't have that in his back pocket. And I think they need to eliminate the 2-minute reviews. Under 2 minutes, only the officials in New York can call it. No, let coaches challenge. You know what?
Yeah,
if they want to sit there in under 2 minutes, they automatically eliminate 1 challenge if they haven't used both already. Cool. Give them 1 challenge within 2 minutes each. But I just think it takes away some of the strategy of the game when you're reviewing every turnover, when you're reviewing every single touchdown. It slows down the game, it takes away excitement, and there is no strategy in the coaches.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it makes you paying attention to the sideline as well, in my opinion, because you're looking over to see if they are going to call a timeout or not. Or call the challenge. Like, nowadays it's like, nope, it's already getting reviewed. You don't have to look at it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it used to be.
I feel like that takes something out of the game.
It used to be cool to sit there and yell at your screen as you're looking at your coach who's grabbing the red flag. Exactly, grabbing the red flag, holding on to it, waiting, and then all of a sudden play goes and he lets go of it, or he tosses it right before the play. Like there was something. There was something cool.
At Jeff Fisher trying to find that flag.
Oh my God! Or where does the coach hold the flag? Some in their pockets, some in their socks, some in their belt buckle. Like there were all these little intricacies where now like the challenges are useless. They might as well take away coaches' challenges if this is the way it's going to be.
I mean, we both said it. They're not using them, so like, what's the point of having them?
Now,
like, what's the point of the challenges?
What's your fix? Do you have a fix maybe in here, MLB? What is your fix to instant replay? Because, we've had, we do our group discussions that we have with a few of our buddies. A lot of the guys we've heard do podcasts already. And someone we've heard on my podcast before, Matt Santos, said, you either just take them away completely, which I think is never going to happen. Now that it's here, it's never going away. So what is your fix? How do we make instant replay better?
I mean, if we're talking baseball, they have to have a time limit between plays. You can't keep giving these coaches, like, after the out, give it, like, 45 seconds till, like, the first pitch has to be thrown. So, I mean, because you have people complaining about the pace of baseball. That's the way to keep the pace up. And it's not giving the coaches 5 minutes to sit there and, like, oh, hold on. I'm thinking about reviewing this. And then, oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm going to stand back down. I'm like, come on.
Now, I agree with that.
Coaches shouldn't have all day to like decide whether to challenge or not. Like
now, if they get a pitch timer,
that's what's different. That's what's different about the NFL, because these teams are getting right on the ball. So like you have to throw your flag, or you can't challenge. Like with the MLB, they have all day. They have all day to review it.
Now, I think with the MLB, it might have something to do with the rule where if you're challenging if a player's out, he has to still be on the base in order to challenge it. I think that might be part of the issue. Let him go into the dugout, and before the next pitch is thrown, then the coach can challenge. Or if the inning's over, then you know what? They have 15 seconds, at most 10 seconds to make that decision to challenge or not. Not a whole, put your hand up, stop the play. Like these managers now have control over the whole entire game, every single inning.
Yep. And being a baseball official like I am now, I've been doing for 5 years, it stinks because you got like every single call, like which made baseball great. I mean, at some sense, it was bad because you've seen pitchers lose perfect games over it, no hitters,
absolutely,
over, bad calls. But you're second guessing yourself. Like, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was what was interesting about baseball too, getting those calls.
And also, there's no penalty when managers get it wrong. Like, at
Yeah,
least
that is
the
correct.
NFL has a
Yeah.
penalty, like you'd lose a timeout if you challenge. Like, should you be assessed an out so you don't have to do this crap all the time? Should you be assessed a strike right away on the next batter?
Yeah.
Like,
That
something,
actually, that's a good idea actually.
like there should be a penalty on managers so that they aren't sitting there holding up play, like inning after inning, especially in big games. Like, if it's a critical situation in a wild card game, winning in, oh, seventh inning, hold on. All right, go make the next play. Oh, another type play. Hold on. Like, that's just
Yeah.
boring.
Yep.
Now, NFL, what is your fix for the NFL?
You give them under 2 minutes. Under 2 minutes. No, I still say no. You can't under 2 minutes because that's stop and play. I say put the pressure on the coach. That's what they're getting paid for. Made the coach make a call. The touchdowns. I think you can possibly keep at the same time. I still think it's 2 reviews per coach, and no booth reviews under 2 minutes. No help. That's all you. I feel like all game it should be on you, because that's your two. You have 2 challenges. And if you get them both right, you're given the third. And I take it out of the booth's hands. Take it out of New York's hands, because clearly they're not doing anything right. There's clearly something wrong with what they're doing.
And I agree. And I'm even going to present a really radical idea. The officials, when they go in there, New York, when they go in there, they have all these angles. They have super slow-mo. They could see if a ball moves a fraction of a quarter of a millimeter. Oh, not a catch. You know what? Fine. You want to get every single review? You want to do that? You want to get every angle, get every review, but it needs to be in real time. No more slow-mo. They can look at it as much as they want. The official can go into a booth, look at his surface as much as he wants. They can get every angle, but it needs to be in real time. So then they can make a call, because they get every angle in super slow-mo, and guys are sitting there busting their ass, making these unbelievable catches, but the ball moves a quarter of a fraction, and then they're calling that not control, not a catch. Like, I think that's outrageous.
As they said, I was watching, I think it might have been the Patriots game, or it might have even been the Steelers game, the guys up in the booth. They said, actually, it might have been Tony Romo, actually, for both, and I'm thinking about Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. If you're playing street football, you're playing Pop Warner football, high school football, these are all touchdowns.
Yeah, every other level.
Without a doubt, they're all touchdowns. They're all touchdowns. Like, I don't know, like as you said it, these guys are making great plays, and you're taking away touchdowns because they made a football move. Like, if Jesse James is reaching for the end zone and the ball's moving in his hands as he's reaching, fine. He has to control it after he hits the ground. He's reaching across and the ball's not moving. If he reaches across and he's by the sideline and hits the pylon with the way the ball was in his hand, it's a touchdown.
Without a doubt. And that's the same.
Like, they have to fix this. They have to fix it.
That play was similar to the Dez play, where Dez was obviously stretching. It hits the ground, and then it comes out. Like, they're both football moves. They cross the plane with control, and that should be basically the end of it. Now, keeping with football.
And Safarian Jenkins, there's actually nothing you can say about that.
I don't want to talk about him anymore because it's insane. I don't want to talk about it. I'm done.
I get you, Alex.
But keeping with football, we're going to talk about some of the wild card battles that have been going on. As we approach Week 17, the wild card is almost locked up. We're going to first start with the AFC. In the AFC, the teams that can get the wild card are the Ravens at 9-6, Titans at 8-7, Chargers 8-7, Bills 8-7. Now, in terms of matchups, the Titans have the worst matchup. They're playing the Jags this week. The Jags aren't resting anyone. They want to try and compete to get home field throughout.
No, they can't. They're done. Jags they're staying at 3.
Oh, they're in the 3 seed? Okay, then. But they're
locked at 3, so I don't understand what they're doing by playing these guys. But
so I haven't heard any reports.
At the same time, we've seen it before, though. We've seen Andy Reid do it before, knowing he's got to bye, and then they come back and they lost the first round.
Now, one reason I think that the Jags are keeping their guys in, Doug Marrone's keeping the guys in, Blake Bortles has been playing really well as of late.
He has been playing very, very well. That's a scary team if he continues to play well.
So I just think he doesn't want to ruin that rhythm. Now, for me, I think the Titans lose. I think they're done. I think that
Yeah,
I think
Titans couldn't win the big game this year.
I think the Bills actually lose to the Finns. I think the Finns play
That could
spoiler,
happen.
beat the Bills. So I think the two teams coming out of the wild card are the Ravens. I think they're going to beat the Bengals, and I think the Chargers are going to take care of the Raiders. And those are the two teams I think that we'll see. Do you agree with me that we're going to have those two?
I did say the Chargers would make the playoffs. I did say they were going to be and they're going to be a scary team too if they can play the way they're supposed to.
Absolutely. Now
As bad as the record is, their team on paper is very scary.
over in the NFC, you have the Falcons, the Panthers, the Seahawks. Panthers are 11-4, Falcons 9-6, Seahawks 9-6, battling for the wild card. Now this is interesting because the Panthers can still win the division.
Yes, they did. They need a little bit of help, but they can make.
If the Saints lose and they win, then they're the division champions.
Yep,
So, but they're
that's
also
correct.
playing the Falcons this week.
And the Falcons need a win.
And the Falcons
need to win.
need it. Now, I don't think the Falcons get that win. I think the Seahawks beat the Cards. I think the Panthers beat the Falcons. And I think the Falcons are out after this week. And we're going to see either Panthers, Saints in the wild card or one of those two represented in the wild card and the Seahawks sneaking in. How about you?
I don't disagree. I think it's a tough task. Where's that game? I think that game's in Atlanta. It is in Atlanta.
Yep, the game's in Atlanta.
So they have a shot, but Carolina wants that division. Carolina's playing very good football right now.
You know, I
And
bet against
Seattle has an easy matchup overall, to be honest. The Cardinals have not been able to put 6 up, and it's just been a struggle for them to get touchdowns.
And I bet against Carolina a good amount this week and this year, and every time I bet against them, Cam Newton just pulls out all the stops. So I'm not going to bet against them this week. I think that they definitely get the win. I also think New Orleans, who is playing Tampa Bay, I think they win. So by tiebreaker, New Orleans would take the division. But I also think that we see Carolina sneak in as a wild card.
Yeah, Carolina clinched in as a wild card team. They clinched their wild card berth already, and I think the Buccaneers are home. Buccaneers played Carolina tough last week in Carolina, so I mean Tampa's not gonna. That's been a disappointing team this year. Not to hop off topic a little bit there, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I think Tampa is gonna give them a fight. But I think the Saints overall are a very good team. Overall, defense is actually very sound this year. Drew Brees handling the offense very well. So I think the Saints will lock up the division this week, and Carolina will be your number 1 wildcard team, and Seattle slips in.
So, you know, as we get to the better point in the season with the playoffs and teams really winding it out, we talk about now who has been the best player in the league, the MVP. I know you were on the Antonio Brown train before he got hurt. With him out completely and now out of the conversation, who is your league MVP?
Man, I mean, I was going to say Todd Gurley, but again, they're benching him this week. They're resting those guys.
So that takes him out.
So that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be Tom Brady, as much as I don't want it to be, because I don't think he's been that good down the stretch. I don't think he's put up the numbers where it's like, oh, man, he's been clutch down the road here for his team. I mean, he did lead a clutch drive against the Steelers on that last drive, but that's also Pittsburgh's fault for not playing Gronk. I mean, they just let Gronk just run up the field.
But 12-3. You can't argue 12-3 at the age of 40.
No, you can't argue record. I mean,
at the age of 40, it's insane. You know, we could talk, and I discussed this, I think it was with Joe last week. You know, we could talk about the replay plays and the few plays that, yeah, the Patriots have gotten. But the other 98% of the games, it's been Tom Brady just doing ridiculous things.
I mean, his numbers are disgusting. I mean, he has 4,387 yards passing this season, 30 touchdowns to 8 picks. Like, his numbers are crazy. They are very good. Like, you can't hide it.
And it's 8 picks, and those picks have really been inflated because of the Miami game and last week against Buffalo. I think he threw 2 against Buffalo, and I don't know what he threw against Miami, but it's like before that, the guy was pretty damn flawless. You know, 2 games against division opponents, you can expect it to be messy.
It's I think it's for the first time in I don't know how many years they popped it up. He's thrown a pick in the last 3 games.
Yeah, which he's 40 years old. It's 16 games
Yeah, it's
into the
crazy.
year. He is getting hit this year. Tom Brady. So is he starting to feel some effects? Yeah, but is he going to feel enough effects to not possibly win a Super Bowl? I don't know. I think Patriots have a good chance at making it all the way again. And I
Yes,
agree
they
with
do.
you. Tom Brady is the league MVP. Now, with that, you look at a league like the NFL that has very little to no parity with all the teams that are coming out. And you go over and you look at the NHL with holy crap. That league, hockey, is absolutely ridiculous to watch right now. It's a lot of fun, especially if you live in the New York metropolitan area. Um, I know you're a big Devils fan. Devils right now sit at the top of the Met, 22 wins, 9 losses, 5 overtime wins. They have 49 points. Um, what do you see with the Devs? Are they going to be able to hold it in the Metropolitan, which is probably the best division in all sports?
Oh, it's hands down. It's the best division sports right now. Yeah, right now they're tied up top with the Capitals. Right now they're holding the lead over the Caps. Devils got their final home game tonight versus the Sabres. This is their longest homestand of the season, which they haven't lost in, which is crazy.
They're on a 5-game
So
win streak right now.
yep, yes they are. It's their first five game win streak at home. So see if they can make it 6 tonight. But I mean the hockey's been very good. I'm loving watching the Devils right now. The Rangers started off very very slow, but they're coming on. They're playing very well hockey right now.
Yeah, you have the
So
Rangers, not to be outdone. The Islanders, they're also playing good hockey. Both teams sitting
yes,
at 20,
they
13, and
are.
4. They're both at 44 points. They're not out of the hunt at all for the postseason. But
No, they're right now in. They're in right now with the Rangers. That's the
exactly.
wild card right now.
And it's unfair. You look at the Metropolitan Division and how good it is, and then you go down and these some of the teams, the Islanders and the Rangers, would be top 4, I think, in almost every other division with their win loss right now. But they're sitting down, essentially tied for third, but fourth and fifth. What the like? Why is the Met so good this year? And is there something that hockey can do to reward the Met for being so good in the future?
That's what's interesting. I mean, you got the 2 wild card spots, which right now are being held by the Metro, and actually, the next 3 teams that are outside looking in are all Metro teams. And like
Exactly.
as bad as we make fun of Philly, Philly is actually still in the hunt, and they're right there in the chase for that wild card spot. As much as we've been making fun of Philly this season, they're
Well, yeah,
right there.
they're still over 500. They're 15, 14, and 8. But that last number, that 8, just means that they're playing
They're
really
playing
close.
games.
They're
They're
playing
losing in
really close.
overtime.
Their point differential is only -5. So for a
Yeah,
bottom feeding
if they
team, that's not
maybe
bad.
get half those, if they get half those wins, if they get 4 overtime losses and they end up winning a few more of those, they're up in the wild card right now.
Exactly, and you have a team like Pittsburgh, who's surprising a lot of people, sitting there second to last in the division with 19 wins. They have 41 points. They're still over 40 at this point in the year, only 8 points off the leaders, Devils and Capitals in the division. So you look at it, and we're talking about the Met, but we'll go down to the Pacific Division in the Western Conference, and there's a little expansion team that could. The Vegas Golden Knights are
Yeah,
taking
right
the
on
league
top.
by storm. 25-9-2, 52 points. What the hell, Colton? Why?
Playing good hockey. I mean, I don't know if you can count the stuff that happened, the tragedy in Vegas. I don't know if that's just pulling this team or what, but they drafted a decent team, and it's crazy with the injuries in goal, and they're still winning games. That's what's the most impressive out of this whole thing. They have injuries in net, and they're still finding ways to win games.
Their plus 23 point differential with injuries in net. That just doesn't happen. You don't you don't have injuries in net, lose your starting keeper, and still find ways to go that much more in point differential, plus 23. They're playing out of their mind, and they lend to this next question. Is hockey the best sport right now in terms of parity? I know it's always talked about sport parity. The NBA right now is the absolute worst because we know who's going to be in the finals, barring catastrophe.
Yeah.
Football, you constantly see the Patriots, you constantly see the Steelers. You always see some typical teams that are always
Yeah,
right
but at
up
the same
there.
time, this season the NFC is very interesting. The NFC is actually very interesting. You have a lot of teams that haven't made the playoffs that are up there right now. Chargers aren't a come team. I mean, Jacksonville hasn't been in since '07. Buffalo about to possibly end their drought. I mean, yeah, teams like that. But I don't disagree with you at all. Hockey, it just stinks. Hockey doesn't get as much views as NBA and the National Football League. But hockey this year, man, it's been great hockey. It's not like it's been terrible hockey. They're all close games, most of these games. I mean,
Well, you look at it, and you have in the Met sitting in tied for basically in second place. The Columbus Blue Jackets are up there. You have in the Atlantic Division, you have Tampa Bay, who's playing the best hockey in the league. They're the best team in the league right
hockey in
now.
the league, without a
You
doubt.
have the Toronto Maple Leafs, who were the laughing stock of the NHL for I have no idea how long. They're sitting at second in that division. Let's see. Just going down the list. The Nashville Predators, again, playing good hockey. The Winnipeg Jets, another team that
Yes.
is
Yeah.
where the hell they come from. You have obviously at Vegas, and you have perennial powers like the Chicago Blackhawks sitting down in their division. You have the Dallas Stars, who have played good hockey in their history, not in the lead. Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, both of them sitting mid-level in their division. Like, the parity is insane in the NHL. And if you're not a hockey fan, seriously, go sit down and watch your local team for about a week. And you'll see exactly what me and Colt are talking about with just how good hockey has been this year.
I mean, that's what's crazy. I mean, you have your back-to-back champs, the Penguins, right now sitting dang near the bottom of the division.
They're sitting in the
It's
bottom of the
crazy to see that.
division.
You're seeing a low market team like the New Jersey Devils up top. You're seeing an expansion team in the Golden Knights in first. You're seeing a low, people are starting to say it's a hockey town turning into one. The Predators are getting up there. Winnipeg Jets are up there. And then you got the Lightning in Tampa Bay, best team in hockey right now.
Yeah, so hockey definitely is doing their thing. They are really playing really, really, really well this year overall as a league, in spite of Gary Bettman, who I just think I don't even know what to say about him as a commissioner of the league. He's really embattled. I think that he eventually, sooner or later, has to go. Although they're expanding a lot, they're making decent money. What do you think of Bettman?
I don't know. Some of the decisions he's made, they're questionable, without a doubt. I mean, at the same time, he's got good hockey right now. As we've said, if hockey's gotten more attention, hockey's the best sport to watch right now. With the competitiveness and the teams that aren't usually up there, and then teams that are usually up there aren't up there. It's an interesting take.
Now, Seattle is on the books they're going to be getting an expansion team in hockey coming up soon, which I know the Seattle area is probably super excited about since their Supersonics were taken away from them. They were thriving to get just another sports team there. They have a really good fan base for sports just in Seattle. Do you see hockey really going to any other area in the near future?
Yeah, as you touched on, Seattle has a very good fan base there. You see with Seattle, and their hearts were broken when the Supersonics were taken from them. You got a team, there's some cities that, you could pop a team in, like Oklahoma City. I mean, they have a good fan base there. I mean,
there's talks of Houston possibly getting a hockey team, which I know Dallas gets. The Dallas Stars have a pretty good fan base, but why give Texas another team? Texas isn't known as a hockey state.
I don't know about that.
I think Midwest deserves another team. The the Minnesota Wild's fan base has been ridiculous. That was a great move. Why not give one of the Dakotas a team, or put another team in Canada who eats, sleeps, and breathes hockey as well?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because some of these low, like, not popular main cities, I feel like their fan bases are even like better. Like, to go off of basketball for a sec, Oklahoma City, man, they love their team. It's not a big market. They love their team. They're always there. Win or lose, they're always there.
Yeah,
Always.
OKC is definitely. I don't even know if they're on the radar in the NHL, but if they did get a team, like you said, their fan base is extremely loyal. Russell Westbrook is their messiah right now since Durant left,
Yeah,
and you
no
saw
doubt.
that
No
passion
doubt.
when Durant left, just how impassioned they were. So OKC would definitely be a good place, but I don't know what Gary Bettman's thinking. I don't know what the NHL is thinking. I don't even know if, like I said, they're on the radar. So we'll only see. Time will only tell. But Seattle's going to get a team. Hockey's expanding again, which is fun with all this parity. If Seattle comes in and has a great season when they come in their inaugural season, then it would just be crazy with what the Knights are doing this year as well.
Oh,
So
no, without a doubt.
so
Oh, just to stay on hockey real quick before we bounce. What do you think about John Tavares? You think he's going to move now since the Islanders are going back to the Coliseum?
oh my God. If the
He's getting
Islanders
better ice. Better ice.
if the Islanders let John Tavares go, that would be just another notch in their terrible current history because people don't know, if you're young now, you only know the Islanders as the Rangers stepbrother. And in a backseat to the Devils when they were winning all their championships. There was a time in the 80s where the Islanders were the team. They
Yeah,
were
we're
winning.
actually a good team.
They were winning Stanley Cups. They had great players, and to let a guy like John Tavares go, who's arguably one of the top 5 players in hockey, that I don't see. If especially if you got the approval to go to Belmont and build a rink over in Belmont, you're going to play at the Coliseum for a little more. That nostalgia is going to be awesome for the Long Island faithful. You gotta bring Tavares with you. You need to bring him with you there. You need to bring him with you to the opening of Belmont. You can't let John Tavares go if you're the Islanders.
I agree. All right, okay. I'm just thought to get your take on that.
Oh, absolutely. And I honestly, I actually, I'm not an Islanders fan. I like John Tavares. I went to a Devils game with the Islanders and my wife, her first game ever in hockey, and we went to go watch the Devils Islanders, and I specifically wanted to go see that game because I wanted to see Tavares skate, and I wasn't disappointed. He had a goal and an assist that game, which it's just, he's a maestro. You just see him on the ice, and when they're superstars in any league, they just move and they just play differently, and you're watching all these pros and great players fly around on the ice, and Tavares is just different. He just moves different, he plays different, he handles the puck differently. His comfort level is out of this world. So yeah, they can't let him go. They just can't. If they do, then that's a big shot in the arm for the Islander faithful.
I agree 1,000% on that. And definitely, it's definitely awesome seeing guys who are just the stars of the league. Matter NBA, hockey, I mean, just NASCAR, football. Like, you see it. The guys who are the best at what they do, you see how good they are, and it's great to watch, especially if you're there live watching these players and stuff.
Oh, there's nothing like watching someone football. When you go live, you have to battle the elements a lot of the times. It's 11 players. It's a lot, and you get to see some great plays.
Not to cut you off there with the battle of the elements. That's what frustrates me with the Super Bowl, man. Oh my goodness, you're playing in a dome. I guess they want it to be fair competition, but it is fair. Both teams are playing in the weather.
I have my
When you're
opinion
playing-
on
When you're
that.
playing in the playoffs, you're playing in the winter conditions. You're playing in Denver where it's snowing and it's freezing cold. That's playoff football. That's how it should be. You got to give Lambeau a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I know it's cold. How amazing would that Super Bowl be?
Oh, I would love a game at the Frozen Tundra, and I've had an opinion about this for a while. I just think that the NFL needs to say either the whole league gets domes or the whole league gets open. I hate that there's dome teams and then there's not dome teams because it's you get shafted. Drew Brees is a absolutely unbelievable dome quarterback. You bring him up into the
you see that,
Northeast,
yep.
you bring him up into the elements, and he's still very good, but he's not half as good as what he is in the dome. And I just think that that's you know what? You fight the elements. That's a part of football. It was always a part of football. But you know what, though, Colt? Football isn't football anymore. So it
Wow.
wouldn't surprise me if they just go a full dome league, everyone fair, everyone playing in 65-degree weather, and, let everyone just be happy. No more elements, no more anything like that. Like, that is definitely, I think that's in the future of the NFL, is that they're going to be a full dome league, and it's going to be essentially indoor football on a grand scale.
I don't disagree. I think there needs to be changes, right, like fast, and it's not going to happen with Goodell. I think they needed a whole new face to just try to change things up, and it's not going to happen.
Well, the man is extended until basically
Yeah.
forever. So, and he has his own private jet if he hits certain quotas, which you know what, the NFL, yeah, their ratings might be quote unquote down this year, but they're still light years ahead of everyone else, and they're still making billions of dollars. So I'm not crying for the NFL if their ratings are a little down. Now,
Now,
speaking of ratings and a league that has definitely climbed up in the ratings, the NBA, they're easily the number 2 league in the United States right now. I think baseball is definitely taking a drop off. Now, we're talking about some basketball. This year, the MVP race isn't even close in my eyes. I think James Harden's the runaway MVP. What do you think? Do you think Harden basically has us already locked in before the All-Star break?
I think it's him or LeBron right now. I say LeBron because LeBron is carrying that team. We're going to see how good they are going to be actually overall. We're going to struggle the first few games when Isaiah Thomas comes back. But because that's just how they are. It's like, oh, wait, oh, no, Clippers doesn't look good. They're not gelling. They're going to get it together. LeBron James is playing the best basketball of his career. I think he's shooting 42% from downtown right now. Like, that is absolutely insane. LeBron James has been known not to be a shooter. His numbers are actually incredible right now.
Now, I take LeBron out of the equation a lot because I've said it before. LeBron is probably always the MVP of the league. They
Yep,
just
I agree,
decide
'cause
that it's
the most
time.
valuable player, as they say it, the most valuable player to his team is LeBron James. I mean, you said it right there. It should be LeBron James every year. Just hand it to him. Just hand
Without
it
a
to him
doubt.
every year.
But you can't
If you put him
disregard.
if you put him on Brooklyn, Brooklyn's in the playoffs, and Brooklyn's in contention to be in the finals.
I would love
because
that.
it's LeBron James.
I would absolutely love that. But you know what though, you can't discount what James Harden is doing. James Harden is playing out of his mind. He's playing great basketball. I think right now, in terms of just fairness to him, he's averaging 32 points, 9.2 assists. He's 44% field goal, 39% from deep. Like, he is just playing out of his mind. I think he deserves it up to this point. Obviously, take LeBron out of the equation. Now, you have guys like Kyrie and Durant who are also playing at a super high level. Durant definitely stepping up his game with Steph Curry with being out with his ankle injury. Kyrie Irving taking the Celtics, taking a loss of Gordon Hayward, not caring, and still having the Celtics with the best record in basketball. Do you think either Kyrie or Durant can overtake Harden by the end of the season?
I think if Harden keeps up the pace he's at, I don't think there's a chance. Harden's been playing very good basketball. I know he self-imploded last night a little bit, but I mean, it is very impressive with Kyrie Irving. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think there was going to be that much of a difference, but Kyrie's proven me wrong. He's putting the team on his back, and especially with Hayward going down on the first game of the season. I mean, going down with that gruesome injury.
That was definitely a shot to the arm, and I think that was an injury the
Oh,
whole entire
jeez.
league felt.
It hurts the league because you got a team like that. It's like, all right, how good is Boston? Is Boston going to fight with Cleveland for that spot in the East? Because, I mean, you're going to say, as we said earlier, you already know who's going to be in the finals every year, Golden State and Cleveland. And that just killed the NBA, thinking, all right, maybe it's Boston representing the East. I mean, what's good for the NBA, Houston's playing very good basketball. If Chris Paul could stay on the floor, I mean...
Well, he makes a difference defensively because Chris Paul gets that defense set up every single time. So
yeah, I mean, they haven't
it's-
lost. I mean, they lost to the Lakers, but he also got hurt in that game. But they didn't lose
exactly.
with Chris Paul.
Exactly. And, we're talking so much about the Warriors and Cavs being the inevitable finals teams. Who do you think has a chance of knocking off either of those two teams. Like I'm looking in the East right now, standings wise, you have Celtics, Raptors, Pistons, Bucks, Wizards, Pacers, all in the top 7. For me, the only teams that maybe have a prayer are the Celtics, Raptors, and Bucks. Do you
I
think?
don't even count the Raptors. Nope, I don't count the Raptors. Raptors do not show up in the postseason. DeMar DeRozan doesn't show up, neither does Lowry. So I take Toronto out of it. I don't care about Toronto. Toronto can have the best regular season. Go for it. Good for you. Kyle Lowry chokes in the postseason. He's done it throughout his career. I take Toronto out of it. They'll win a game. They'll win a game. That is it.
Now,
I don't keep Toronto in that.
Now, to me, I think the Bucks are interesting. They're a young team.
They are.
And they have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is probably the closest thing to LeBron playing, like, right now. So it's like, is Giannis going to be enough to will that team to have a chance of beating the Cavs? What do you think?
I think they're an interesting team, especially with getting Eric Bledsoe from Phoenix, who's got a spark of life there now in Milwaukee. He had a very good game yesterday, dropped, I think, 12 points in the fourth quarter alone, hit a huge 3 yesterday as well. I think they're a very interesting team, Milwaukee. I think the Wizards could be interesting if healthy with John Wall and Bradley Beal. And supposedly there's talks about them possibly going after DeMarcus Cousins. I mean...
Now, I'm tired of Boogie Cousins making an impact anywhere, because he doesn't. Like, you look at like him going to the Pelicans, they were supposed to be so great. Him and AD.
At the same time,
they're sitting in 8th.
You can't have 2 bigs like that and work and no guards. They have no guards or bench. Their bench is awful. They're not a good team.
They're
Rondo's
not
a very good piece, but their bench is terrible. I'm sorry. That's why you've seen teams like Golden State be very good and Cleveland be very good, because their benches are good. Because these veteran guys that are very good take pay cuts.
Their benches are good, but their players also buy into plans. They also understand roles. And does Boogie Cousins understand his role? Does he even know what a role is? Because even, him and AD, they get along, but I don't know if Cousins understands that he's not the best player on that team. And in the Wizards, he wouldn't be the best player on that team. It would be John Wall. And then Bradley Beal would still be the second option. And he would be the third option. Would he fall in line enough? Now, I don't know if that's in Cousins' DNA to fall in line.
At the same time, I don't think Cousins has been on a team that could be like, all right, we could be a finals team. Sacramento was not a finals team, not even a thought. When you saw that trade to New Orleans, it's like, oh, maybe they can like be disgusting in the post and like you cannot beat them. But the way the league is now, it's not a big man game. It's I'm gonna shoot threes in your face all night long. Is what kind of league it is now. It's just shooters. It's literally shooters is what it is. Shooters and highlight dunks and stuff like that is what it's come down to. And a team like that is not built to go to the finals, especially when they have no guards. Drew Holiday's a solid guard. Rondo's a solid guard. But when you look at the bench is not good at all. You cannot name me a decent bench player for them.
Not at all. Well, honestly, though, I don't buy the Wizards, even with Cousins, because one of the main factors is who the hell's going to guard LeBron? Who's going to guard LeBron? Who's going to guard Dwayne Wade off the bench? Can you say Otto Porter's going to be able to guard him or Kelly Oubre any of those guys going to be able to guard him? Can Kevin Love? Can Cousins do enough to play Kevin Love? Kevin Love is having a fantastic year.
Yes, he is. He is having a very good year. As much as I've been very negative on him, he's been very good. Kevin Love. He's been very good this season.
Yeah, Kevin Love has been playing some of the better basketball since the trade. He has 20 points, 10 rebounds a game. He's literally averaging a double-double. His three-point percentage is 42%. Like, the guy is playing some of the best basketball of his career, and he's an afterthought. But, just as I look at it, I don't think the Wizards have enough to even think about guarding that team and all their weapons. One team that's interesting that I don't know if they're going to keep up the pace, the Pistons are sitting in 4th in the whole entire conference. I had no idea that the Pistons even had enough talent to finish top 8. They're a surprise to me. Do you think the Pistons are going to hold on to this, or you think they're going to drop off in the second half?
I think they're going to drop off. I think we're going to see how good the Knicks are. As much as it would be good for our area to see the Knicks do well, the Knicks cannot win on the road. They just cannot win on the road, and it's depressing because it's good for the league to see New York back up in there. I mean, it's awesome watching games. I watched the Lakers-Knicks game. That game was exciting to watch. The Garden was rocking. The Garden was rocking that night. Lonzo Ball going tit for tat with Kristaps Porzingis. That was such a great game to watch. I mean, the Garden is rocking, which is great for basketball. The Garden is alive. Hockey, basketball, it's there. But can New York win on the road? And Philadelphia, man. Philadelphia made moves, and can Joel Embiid stay on the floor for the Sixers, man? I've said this for the longest time. Can the kid stay on the floor? We all know he's a disgusting talent in the post. He's very, very good. One of the best bigs when he's healthy. But can he stay on the floor for them?
That's the question. Definitely the question. Can he stay on the floor? And just going back to the Pistons right now, I'm looking at their roster. I forgot they got Avery Bradley, who's a super talented dude. They have Reggie Jackson. They have Andre Drummond, who's having a great year. I continue to look, though.
Tobias Harris had a nice night the other day.
But none of the guys, they have a few guys who are good, but they definitely don't have enough to maintain what they're doing. Talking about the Knicks, the one thing I've gotten out of this year so far, and I know Knicks fans are going to hate me for saying it, Tim Hardaway Jr. is not a second option. He really isn't. He's not. He had a nice year with the Hawks last year. This year, he's had some games. He's played well, but he's not the guy that's going to take the pressure off Porzingis to do everything. And I think Porzingis is starting to experience what Melo experienced when he was there. He has to do everything. If Porzingis isn't dropping 30+, getting 10 rebounds, 2 crucial blocks, even dishing the ball out, the Knicks probably don't win. They need to bring in that second guy, Frank Ntilikina, I don't know how to say his last name. He's made some clutch shots down the road. He's growing. He's not there yet, but I don't think he'll ever be a second scoring option. So what the Knicks lack right now is that second scoring option that is going to be consistent and take some pressure off of Porzingis. You don't win without 3 guys that can drop 20 together in the NBA anymore.
I agree. I think what's his name's when he's been on the floor for them, Hardaway Jr. Talking about here, I think Tim Hardaway Jr. has been good for the Knicks when he's played, but he's hurt. So if he can come back and play like half as good as he did to start the season, I think the Knicks can get into that 8th seed. I said the Knicks are going to be a playoff team this year, but I mean they're proving at home they can beat anybody. But can they win on the road is the question. They played a very bad Chicago team. They lost, so
yeah,
we'll see with the Knicks.
They're 2-12.
It would be great for the league. It would be great for the league to see the Knicks in the playoffs.
But they're 2-12 on the road. So your point.
Yeah, they cannot win games, and one of those being in New York at the Barclays Center. So can they win on the road?
Yeah, that's a big question. And I asked the same question for the West that I just asked for the East with the Cavs. The Warriors are, the team that everyone assumes is going to get there in the end. Who has the best chance to knock them off? The Rockets are playing great, but if Chris Paul can't stay healthy, what's their chance? The Spurs are always there. Kawhi Leonard's back and healthy.
But they cannot finish the job, the Spurs. I can't say that give the Spurs that. But I think there are 2 teams that are actually, it could be 3. I don't see Minnesota. I think Minnesota's too young. But I give
even with Jimmy
teams
Buckets?
a shot. I think they're too young. I think next year, they'll get their taste of the playoffs this year. But next year they'll have a shot to knock them off. But there's 2 interesting teams for me in the West with Golden State. And I bet you can guess them both right now, the way they're both playing.
Definitely the Rockets.
Yeah.
And I think the Thunder as they click.
That is correct. Yep, that is correct. It is the Thunder. The Thunder are playing very good basketball. Thunder were I think it was 2 weeks ago. The Thunder were the 10th team in the West.
Mm-hmm.
They were the 10th team, and now they are the 5th team, and they are on the move.
They have a 6-game winning streak going right now. 6-game win streak, 8-2 the last 10.
And they've beaten some pretty good teams. They're playing very good basketball. That's a scary team right now.
Well, has it really become, with Melo is now finally falling into his role, that the ball snaps out of his hands? These last 6 wins, Melo's not holding on to the ball. He's not looking to create. He's snapping the ball out of his hands if he isn't open, and he knows that Russell Westbrook and Paul George are the two creators of the team. Has that played a big factor in
I
their
think it
success?
has. I think it has, because that's what you saw with the Knicks. The way Melo plays is give me the ball and ISO. I'm going to ISO myself, and I'm going to try creating a shot for myself, and you all are just going to sit there and watch me do it. Melo is finally, I think, realizing he cannot do that with this team. This team is a move the ball. You have very good players on your team. Your starting five is very good with Westbrook MVP. Paul George can put the ball in the hoop. I mean, he cannot try to ISO. It just kills the offense. And you saw that early in the season. It just didn't click. They had no chemistry together. And now I think he's finally realizing, like, I'll get my shots. I'm going to get my shots. But, like, I cannot hold the ball when I have other options offensively.
Now we talk about the Rockets, and Harden, I think, is the MVP. They're playing really well, but we talked about this earlier. I think if Chris Paul isn't healthy, he's the main factor. If Chris Paul's healthy, then I think they compete with the Warriors. They go 7, and it's a toss-up. If he's not healthy, that defense isn't set, and I think the Rockets get run out in 5 games. Now, what do you think? Do you think if the Rockets have a chance either way, how do you feel the Rockets match up?
Chris Paul has to be on the floor. Chris Paul has to be on the floor for them.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I give it to the Thunder over them.
Give it to the Thunder over them. Now, and it's funny, too. I didn't even think of this. As I look at both conferences, the West has been the powerhouse for so long. And in terms of superstars, they still are. But I feel like there's a lot more real teams, and I mean real in terms of that they're more built, put together teams in the East right now than there are in the West. Because if you look at it in the West, the Warriors, Rockets, Spurs, Thunder, those are probably the only real teams. You talk about the T-Wolves being too young. I think they're more closer than you think. But, they're not really a real team right now. The Nuggets, I don't even know why they're in 6th. The Trailblazers, they have McCollum and they have
Denver. I don't know. Denver, I think you're just slapping in the face here. Denver's a pretty good team, man. I think Denver overall has some nice talent.
Well, they have
there.
Jokic. Jokic is a beast, but
Jokic is disgusting. I think Paul Millsap was a good pickup. I mean, if he could play, I think he's hurt right now for them, to be honest. I think Paul Millsap's actually hurt.
I think he's hurt, but you look at, the teams that are just like, I look at teams that I don't even, they're going to be in the playoffs, but they're non-factors. The Clippers are competing for a playoff right now. But you even look at that. 8th seed is Pelicans, they're 18 and 16. Their 9th seed is the Clippers at 14 and 19. Past the playoff teams, the conference is kind of pathetic. Where you look,
it is.
And you look at the East, you have the Cavs, obviously. You have the Celtics, who are real. The Raptors, who are as real as it gets in terms of, they'll make some noise in the playoffs. The Bucks are real. The Wizards are real, despite their struggles. And it's like, you look at the Pistons. If they can maintain, they're going to be good. To me, I just look, the Sixers, if they make a run and they get into the playoffs, holy crap, watch out. So it's
I mean, I've been in the Wells Fargo Center for Sixers Lakers. The fans are there, man. The fans are showing up. The place is loud. It's a great atmosphere. I mean, when I went to that Lakers-Sixers game, that came down to the end. That place was rocking. Every person was on their feet in that arena. Sorry to the Sixers fans. Brandon Ingram had to put a dagger in you with 3 from Lonzo Ball. But that was a playoff basketball. And it was great to be in there as a fan of basketball. It was a great game to be in there. But I agree, you got some teams in the East that, I mean, it stinks because you got the powerhouses with Cleveland and Boston. I don't think the lower seeds are going to have a shot. But overall, conference-wise, other than the top 4 teams in the West, I think the East is actually a lot better conference than what they're actually being given.
And and you look, we talk about the Sixers some more. A guy that I'm a big fan of that, isn't getting his due in that whole entire process that's going on. You talk about Joel Embiid, they talk about Ben Simmons, they're waiting for Marco Fultz to really come back. But Dario Saric, he's in his second year.
He's a very good player.
Second year in the NBA, 13 points, 7 rebounds a game, 2.6 assists a game. The guy's a factor, and the guy doesn't miss games. He just plays basketball. And I've really been a big fan of Dario Saric, and I think he's a big glue part to that roster. And I'm looking at his basketball reference page, and it's really funny that one of his nicknames is the homie. I'm just throwing that out there. That's freaking hilarious. I don't know who calls him the homie, but that's amazing. But I just want to give a shout out to Dario doing his thing. And yeah, if the Sixers get in, they can make some noise. And you mentioned the Lakers a few times because you are a Lakers fan, and you're also talking about how they've been played in 2 games that had playoff atmosphere. Your Lakers right now sitting 11 and 22, 13th in the conference. They're going through their struggles. We go back and forth debating. I like Kyle Kuzma on the Lakers. You like Lonzo on the Lakers. But ultimately, how close are they to competing for the playoffs in the West?
They need a guy that can put the ball in the hoop consistently, is what it is. So I think if they get a guy like Paul George, they're in the playoffs next year, without a doubt. Like, there's no question. In my mind, they're in the playoffs next year.
And I tell you that you guys have him. You have Kyle Kuzma. You need a person that can go with him. I think if Brook Lopez stays healthy, he's your down low factor. You have Kyle Kuzma. You need someone else that can score. You need a point guard that can score, a real point guard, not Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball.
Easy. I know you don't like Lonzo at all.
Because Lonzo can't shoot.
When he's been healthy, he's been playing very good basketball as of late. Ever since that road trip they went on out here, he played very good against
What's very good basketball for a starting point guard that's supposed to be a superstar? 13 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. You consider that Lakers Showtime basketball?
Do you not realize how old the kid is? Are we gonna let that one fly over your head?
How old was Melo? How old was Durant? How old was James? How old were all of these guys that came in and earned their right to be superstars?
What point guards he is playing? The point guard is the best position in the league.
Okay.
Every team has a solid point guard.
All right, but you know what? But this guy has so much fanfare without any production, really. You know what? Like, for me, he's not much better than what Jordan Clarkson was doing, and Jordan Clarkson's a better scorer than Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo Ball sees the floor very impressively. He does not get enough credit for the way he passes the basketball and sees the floor. His shot has been going in as of late. Before he got hurt, he's been shooting very well. He's been shooting better from beyond the arc. He's been taking on the clutch buckets late in ball games. I think it's been waiting for him to get his feet get his feet settled and realize, wow, I'm in the NBA. And it also doesn't help that his father's talking, getting everybody yo, I'm going to bully up on this kid. And then people don't want to put him under his wing and help him out, which you're seeing some of the superstars do that.
Well, that's bull. Magic has taken him under his wing completely, and that's one of the best guys, arguably the best point guard ever to play the game, is taking you under your wing. And you know what? And the way I see it, he is not ever going to be, if he's a part of your big three, you can't win a championship. He's a Rondo-esque type of guy where he's the 4th member of a big three just there, because Rondo was great with Boston as the 4th guy. And, because he saw the floor well, he could drive the basketball, he could finish at the net, he wasn't a great shooter. I just gave you Lonzo Ball scouting report. Right there. He is another version of Rajon Rondo, where if he's a member of your big three, you don't win championships. You'll win games, but not championships. So I know you buy into the Ball hype. I don't buy into the Ball hype at all.
All right, so let me bring it back to Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's last game was on December 23rd, and that was against the Blazers. He had a double-double. That was probably his worst shooting night in a while for him. He shot, I think, hold on, let me look at the box.
And what was the double-double?
He almost had a triple-double. It was 10, 11, and 8 was his stat line.
All right, but 10, 11, and 8, okay. What did they win the game?
They lost by 3.
They lost by 3. Now, he gives you, for me, that's a whatever triple-double.
That was his worst game of that road trip. He played a very good Golden State Warriors team, and he puts up good numbers. He puts up 24, 5 and 5, 5 of 6 from downtown. He's been playing good as of late. They beat the best team and the hottest team in basketball in the Houston Rockets, and Lonzo Ball puts 16 points up, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. The kid has been playing good as of late. I know you don't like him at all. Then they played the Warriors again the night before the Houston. And Lonzo Ball puts up a very good night. 16 points, 6 and 6 on 50% shooting from the field. He's been playing very good basketball as of late. He played good against Cleveland Like, he's playing good basketball before he got hurt. Like, the
Now,
kid
he's
is getting his feet down, and he's getting better. I know I'm a Lakers fan, and I love Lonzo Ball. They're getting somewhere, man. They just need a guy to consistently put the ball in the hoop. You do have a point. Kyle Kuzma is playing very good basketball. If it wasn't for Ben Simmons, he's probably the rookie of the year right now.
Now, I agree with you. I'm looking at Lonzo's game by game. He's playing better. His best night was definitely that 24-5-5, without a doubt. But that's the guy he needs to be consistently. 16 points, 17 points. If you're not producing plus 20 a night, you're not a member of a big three. That's just the bottom line in the NBA. I don't care the assist number.
He's also a point guard.
And so is Russell Westbrook, and so is James Harden as of last year.
Yeah, but Harden's a pure scorer. And the way that offense is, they don't play defense. They don't play defense in Houston.
But you want to talk about other superstar point guards, your Damian Lillard, your John Walls, your Kyrie Irvings, your Kyle Lowrys. These are all 20-plus point guys.
Yeah, but these guys have also been in the league for a few years.
But they've been doing it since they were...
Give the kid a chance. Give the kid a chance. We all said this last year about Brandon Ingram. Oh, the kid doesn't look good. Brandon Ingram's shot was awful last year. He didn't play good. He wasn't aggressive. The kid's aggressive right now, and Brandon Ingram's averaging like 20 a game.
I didn't say anything negative about Ingram. I just said Ingram was a string bean, and that was his problem. It wasn't that he wasn't a good player.
But that's also because people didn't say much about him because his dad wasn't there. You don't have the dad in the media howling at everybody like, hey, Lonzo Ball's going to be better.
They also play different positions. Ingram is relying on the point guard getting him the ball, where Lonzo Ball has the ball in his hands every single play.
Exactly. And you look at his assist-to-turnover ratio, it's very good for a rookie point guard in a guard-held league.
But in the point guard evolution system, that assist-to-turnover ratio doesn't translate to championships. Points do.
He's a rookie. He's a rookie, Alex.
That's fine.
He's a rookie.
But rookies aren't the same either. If you're a great superstar, you have a great year as a rookie. That's just how it is. And that's just the reality of the NBA.
You could say that. You could say he's having a very similar year to Jason Kidd. You cannot say that.
But Jason Kidd also came up in an era where the stats that you're saying mattered more. Pure point guards in Jason Kidd's time were more prevalent than they are now. But Lonzo Ball would have really fit in that era. Doesn't shoot very well, finishes at the basket, plays defense, makes good passes. That is the John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash style. It is not the current NBA style. The Ricky Rubios, the Rajon Rondos, the Lonzo Balls aren't as good as they used to be.
All right, but getting onto Lonzo Ball again, Lonzo Ball is being able to put the ball in the hoop as of late. Before he got hurt, you saw his numbers. You disagreed with me. His numbers are getting better. He's shooting the ball better. He's being more aggressive. When Lonzo Ball is aggressive, the Lakers are a different basketball team. It's just that easy. When he's aggressive, which he was on that whole road trip, he was aggressive Lonzo Ball. When he played at the Knicks, he took the shots. He was going tit for tat with Porzingis. He said, give me the ball, I'm shooting it. And he put the ball in the hoop. This is what we saw from UCLA Lonzo Ball. He took the shot when he wanted it.
He's topped 20 points twice in 31 games. Twice. 2 times in 31 games. That's all he's done.
Okay, but look at his numbers have been better. Since we've all harassed him. The kid is playing better basketball.
He needs to consistently be better at scoring in order to bring that team.
He's been consistently getting better at scoring the basketball before he got hurt.
And
so if he comes back and he does it again and he gets on a run where he's putting the ball in the hoop, Alex, do you change your opinion on Lonzo Ball?
I need to see what he does playoffs. I would need to see Lonzo playoffs. I need to see if he can handle Showtime Lakers pressure.
Oh, okay. If you're going to go on that point, James Harden in the postseason. If you're going to go on that point.
Last year he turned around.
Lowry in the postseason. DeMar DeRozan.
All right, but last year Harden turned around his whole entire postseason outlook. Last year he wasn't the reason why the Rockets lost. They just got beaten. The years before that, when Harden was looking for calls at the rim that he would get during the regular season and buckling, that was bad. But Harden last year was tougher. He knew he wasn't going to get calls at the rim, and he finished plays. You want to talk about other guys? Lowry and DeRozan easily had their best postseasons of their career last year. They were outplayed. So you really look at it, and yeah, you can criticize those guys. You can even criticize Carmelo Anthony because he's never been great. He had a few good years. His best chance in the postseason was with Denver. But I will judge Lonzo, and it's completely different if you compare Houston to LA or Toronto to LA.
No doubt. I'm just comparing players on how they play in the postseason.
But we'll talk about Lonzo just like we'll talk about Porzingis. I'll really have a real good gauge on Porzingis. If the Knicks make the playoffs this year and he folds like a cheap suit, my opinion will go down on whether or not he's a superstar. But if he steps up and they lose and he's averaging 26 a game, okay then, he stepped up. If Lonzo, when they do make it into the playoffs, and I do think the Lakers are a playoff team as soon as next year because Ingram's going to grow, Lopez is going to be healthy.
The thing is, do the Lakers keep Lopez? Is another question.
I don't know why you wouldn't keep Brook Lopez, or why you wouldn't try to re-sign him with that young team.
I think they're going to try to re-sign him, but like, what money is Lopez going to be looking for? I know he's from the LA area, so does he take a hometown discount to stay? And especially if they get a guy like Paul George or say LeBron James, if for some odd reason he's dumb enough to leave.
I promise you that you guys aren't getting that superstar next year. I can promise you that LeBron James isn't leaving Cleveland, Paul George isn't leaving OKC. So
I don't know, man. If they struggle, I think if the Thunder end up not doing well in the postseason, I see him leaving.
I mean, if Lonzo comes back and the Knicks start playing 500 basketball, then maybe. If he comes back and he's a catalyst and then playing 500 basketball, Kuzma shooting the ball well, and they're playing well, maybe. But if they come back and they're still floundering at the bottom of the West, I don't see a superstar coming to that team. Just like my Nets can't get a true superstar to come to their team because, yeah, they're playing better basketball this year, but they're still not a team that, even with the superstar, is going to contend for a championship. I think the comparisons between the Knicks and the Nets are actually plenty right now. Because you look at
the Nets play with a lot of heart and very good defensively, but they just can't find that consistent scorer, which is the same thing with the Lakers.
Well, we've yet to see what D'Angelo Russell can really do. Russell was hurt after 12 games. Before that, he was averaging nearly 21 a game. So
he's a good player. I love D'Angelo with the Lakers. I thought he was a shooting guard. They had him as a point guard. He's a scorer. He's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard that can pass well for a score, is what he is.
Which I think he'll get the chance to do in Brooklyn because with the emergence of Spencer Dinwiddie as a point guard right now.
Got Jeremy Lin next year.
Jeremy Lin
comes back.
I think Jeremy Lin's actually going to play backup to Dinwiddie next year as long as the Nets hold on to him because Dinwiddie's earned the right to stay as the starting point guard. You put him next to D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell's going to start, I think, averaging nearly 23 to 25 a game because he's going to be only charged with scoring and not running that offense. And mind you,
exactly, which I wanted him to do in LA. Thank you for saying that.
And which
score.
I don't understand.
I've had this argument with Rob Planner so many times. He goes, he's a point guard. No, he's not. He's a shooting guard. He can score the basket. Oh my gosh. Ice in his vein, D'Angelo Russell. The kid can score the basketball. He's listed as a point guard. That's what he was drafted as. He is not a point guard. He's a scoring shooting guard who can pass the ball well for a score is what he is.
He absolutely can.
Thank you for saying that. I'm so happy you said that. Thank you, Rob Planner. It's not just me, Rob.
And, he absolutely can. I think he's from that mold. He's obviously nowhere near James Harden's talent level, which if he is, we haven't seen it yet. But it's a similar mold where score first, pass second. That's where he lies. And, you put him next to Spencer Dinwiddie, who's earned the right to stay. And we've yet to see Jahlil Okafor actually play for the Nets. He played one game, 23 minutes, 10 points.
That's a great trade for the Nets. The kid was supposed to be could have been the number one overall draft pick in that draft class. And the Sixers just didn't use him. So once this kid gets his feet under him again and finds his way, I think that's a great risk-reward for the Nets. You gave up an older Trevor Booker for Nick Stauskas, who's young, from Michigan, and Okafor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I like the pick. There's a lot of talk about whether or not Okafor's game translates to this style of the NBA anymore. He's a very low post type of back to the basket player. But we've seen
saw that with Lopez, and it worked with the Nets. So,
Exactly, and we've seen Kenny Atkinson turn players that are back to the basket players into shooters, a la Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is one of the more lethal three-point shooting centers in the game now, and he only started shooting threes last year. So, is he going to be able to take Jahlil Okafor and expand his game? Maybe. And if he can, with a 25-year-old Jahlil Okafor, the sky's the limit. You couple him with a scorer like D'Angelo Russell, the growth of Rondae Hollis-Jefferson being a 20-point guy almost every night.
Karis LeVert, another guy who could put the ball in the hoop.
And he's fit into his role coming off the bench, and he's happy to come off the bench and be the bench spark. So you have a team like the Nets, who are another team who, if Russell and Okafor can actually grow into the players, even 3/4 of the players they were meant to be, you have a team that's maybe a superstar away from contending in general. And I know people are going to laugh at that because it's pipe dreams, and you sound more realistic with the Lakers because the Lakers are a perennial power. But, I watch the Nets play every night. I write about the Nets on nothingbutnets.com, so I really have a intricate viewpoint of this team. And if I know there's a lot of ifs, if things turn out the way they're supposed to and Kenny Atkinson's grit, pace, and style of play continues to grow with this team, the sky's the limit for the Nets. And I've been saying for a while, I think Klay Thompson is the next great Net. I think he's going to be done in Golden State when his contract's up. I think he's going to want to prove to the world that he can lead a team just like James Harden wanted out of OKC for, and I think the Nets are going to be ripe for the picking, and they'll pay him whatever the hell he wants. What do you think about that Klay Thompson theory?
That'd be an interesting thing. Supposedly his father has come out and said he's not leaving Golden State, but again, that's a dad just talking. But
well, doesn't his dad also double as his agent or manager though? I think his dad actually has some clout in terms of Klay Thompson.
I'm not 100% sure, Alex. I haven't paid that much attention to Klay Thompson and his father to know if his dad's like a manager or something, but you never know. I mean, he could change his mind. He's won probably another ring this year. He's going to have a few on his hand, and he may just want to. He's already a great two-way player, so maybe he wants to show to the league that he wasn't just along for the ride and wasn't just, that role player.
Well, absolutely. He's very overshadowed on that team, and what people don't know about Klay Thompson is he's one of the best defensive shooting guards in the whole league, one of the best defenders in the whole league. Yep. He's actually a player, if you look at a team that fits him perfectly, he's a player more apt to go to the Spurs because he fits the Spurs mold completely. He's a smart player, plays defense, knocks down open jumpers. He is a prototypical Spurs player, and he's not flashy. So, and you look at it, the Nets have Sean Marks as their GM, who was an assistant GM in San Antonio.
Such a great job. He's done such a very, very good job. As we touched on with the Nets, the trades they've made. They've gotten a lot of young players. They got a draft pick. And they're not high risk reward trades. They're low risk reward trades. You gave up nothing and you can get something very, very good out of it. Okafor's trade was such a great trade for them. Man.
Well, DeMarre Carroll. We've picked DeMarre Carroll for Justin Hamilton. For Justin Hamilton, a player that is overrated. He's not in the NBA anymore. I think he's playing in Europe. And, we just needed to dump Justin Hamilton's salary that was pretty damn high. And we gladly took on Carroll's high salary. And he's done nothing but be a veteran leader, a consistent scorer, and a really good player. So, in terms of what Marks has done, he's really doing his best to try and put the Spurs culture in with the Nets.
And he is, and he's doing a very good job. I mean, as much as that, you got rid of Brook Lopez's contract, which, you can't say you got rid of Brook Lopez's contract. He's only got a year left. You picked up Mozgov's terrible contract. Thankfully, the Lakers dished out.
Well, he's sitting on the bench.
But you picked up a young D'Angelo Russell, who's got talent to be a very, very, very good player. As we've seen, he could put the ball in the hoop consistently. Before he got hurt, he was playing very good basketball for the Nets. They got Jeremy Lin, who's hurt. Okafor that's gotten a trade, young player, could have been the number 1 overall pick in that draft class. They made some moves that, it's like, dang, look at the Nets. Nets making some moves out there. So
absolutely, they're not the laughing stock of the league anymore. And with that concludes our 6th episode of the Sports Opinions podcast. I really want to thank you, Colton, for coming on. I had a blast doing it. Colton, you want to...
Appreciate it, Alex.
you want to give the people your Twitter, IG handle so they can find you and find out what you're all about on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at the Real Sea Wagon, and and you can follow me on my Instagram at Seawagon. But I thank you again, Alex, and check out the Radio FX app for WOCC. I'll be stopping in a few nights, doing some radio shows, starting off in like January 10th that week. But I'll be back at OCC doing some shows here and there. But thanks for having me on, Alex. I appreciate it.
No problem. And you can find me, Alex Cuesta, at acuesta_NBN. And you can also go onto our Sports Opinions Twitter page at SportOpinion30. All right. Want to thank everyone again for listening. Have a good one.